Welcome to Part 2. If learning is invisible, then practitioners need a set of reliable, visible clues, telltale signs in performance that, taken together, give us confidence that learning is genuinely taking place. Researchers have identified 6 of these general performance characteristics, and they're the focus of this section. I want to flag up front that these 6 don't capture absolutely everything about learning, but they are the ones we most commonly observe, and they form a really useful checklist. As we walk through them, don't just memorize a list of 6 words. Instead, notice that they all point in the same general direction. As someone learns, their performance gets better, steadier, tougher, more durable, more flexible, and less mentally taxing. Think of these 6 as 6 different angles on the same underlying process of getting good at something. Let's look at all 6 at a glance, and then take them in pairs.
Here are the 6 signs all in one view, and I'd like you to take a mental snapshot of this slide. 1. Improvement. Performance reaches a higher level over time. 2. Consistency. One attempt starts to look like the next instead of being all over the place. 3. Stability. Disruptions and distractions throw the skill off less than they used to. 4. Persistence. The gains last, across days, across weeks, not just in the moment. 5. Adaptability. The skill holds up even in new and changed situations. And 6. Reduced attention demand. The skill gradually requires less conscious thought to perform. Now, here's how I want you to hold these together. Notice the through line. A skilled performance is better, more repeatable, more robust, longer lasting, more flexible, and cheaper in terms of mental effort. Every one of the 6 is really a facet of that same gem. We'll now take them 2 at a time so we can give each a concrete example.
Let's start with the first 2, improvement and consistency. Improvement is the most obvious one. Performance simply reaches a higher level than before. But I want to add a careful caveat that the textbook is honest about. Learning is not only improvement. It's entirely possible to practice badly and groove in bad habits so that performance doesn't improve or even gets worse for a while. And short dips and plateaus along the way are completely normal. We'll talk about plateaus later. For our purposes, since we're studying skill acquisition, we'll focus on the improvement case. The second sign is consistency. Early in learning, performance is wildly variable. A beginner's tennis serves go long, short, into the net, off the frame, every attempt different from the last. As learning progresses, that scatter shrinks. One attempt comes to closely resemble the next. So if you're watching a learner and their performances are clustering tighter and tighter together, that growing repeatability is real evidence that learning is happening underneath.
The next pair is stability and persistence, and these 2 are easy to confuse, so let's be precise. Stability is about holding up under disruption. The technical term is perturbations, internal or external conditions that try to knock your performance off course. An internal perturbation might be the stress of performing under pressure. External ones might be an obstacle in your path, a gust of wind, or a noisy crowd. As learning progresses, these perturbations disrupt you less. The skill becomes harder to rattle. There are limits, of course. Enough disruption derails anyone. But increased stability is a genuine marker of learning. Persistence, on the other hand, is about lasting over time. A skill that's truly learned shows up not just today, but tomorrow, next week, next month. This is the characteristic that connects directly to the phrase in our definition, a relatively permanent improvement. Remember, though, the word is capability. Because of performance variables, someone might not hit the exact same level every single day, even though the underlying learning persists. Stability is resisting disruption in the moment. Persistence is enduring across time. The 5th characteristic is adaptability, and it's one of the most practically important, so the whole slide is devoted to it. Here's the foundational truth in the lead. We never perform a skill under exactly the same conditions twice. Something is always different. Your emotional state, the weather, the specific location, the equipment, some quirk of the task itself. So real learning isn't just being able to repeat one frozen version of a skill. It's being able to carry that skill into changed circumstances. Researchers sometimes call this generalization. how well your performance generalizes beyond the exact practice conditions. The left card states the idea. Successful performance demands adapting to changes in you, the task, and the environment. The right card gives the everyday proof, and I love these examples because they're so ordinary. You have never walked at every possible walking speed, yet you can speed up or slow down effortlessly. You've never drunk from every cup that exists, yet hand you a brand new, oddly shaped mug, and you adjust your grip and sip without a second thought. That instant, flexible adjustment is adaptability, and it's a hallmark of having genuinely learned.
The sixth and final characteristic is the reduction in attention demand. And this one connects to things you read about in our chapter on attention. The basic idea: motor skills demand attention to perform, but as you learn, they demand less and less of it. The left card uses the classic example, learning to ride a bicycle. At the very beginning, just staying upright consumes all your attention. You certainly couldn't hold a conversation while wobbling along. But once you're skilled, you can chat away with a friend while riding on a straight, open path because the bike handling barely taxes your attention anymore. The right card explains how researchers actually measure this, the dual task procedure. You have the person perform the skill while simultaneously doing a second task, and you see how much the second task suffers. The more a skill has been learned, the less attention it costs, so the better the person can handle that second task. Researchers have shown this even for a fundamental rugby skill, the draw and pass. Higher skilled players had attention to spare that lesser skilled players simply didn't. So freed up attention is both a sign of learning and something we can put a number on. Let's recap part 2. Learning reveals itself through 6 performance characteristics, and here they are tied together. Improvement, performance reaches a higher level. Consistency, attempts become more alike. Stability, disruptions matter less. Persistence, the gains last over time. Adaptability, the skill travels to new situations. And reduced attention demand, the skill needs less conscious thought. Notice again the single theme running through all 6. As we learn, performance becomes better, steadier, tougher, more durable, more flexible, and less mentally costly. These 6 are your practical checklist. When you're trying to decide whether a student, athlete, or patient has genuinely learned something, you can literally run down this list and ask, is their performance improving, getting more consistent, holding up under pressure, lasting across days, working in new situations, and freeing up their attention? If the answer is yes, you're seeing learning. Now, in part 3, we turn from what to look for to how to actually measure it.